What is good? What is good? You already know what it is. Mikey T, the movie star, back with a major exclusive. I had to come a little bit early and I actually had to change the stream tonight. Let me just make sure all of my audio is situated. Let me make sure nothing is overlapping. You heard? Yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks good. So, Rick Ross just can't seem to stop talking about not only G Unit, but Lloyd Banks. Rick Ross has a strong fascination, a very odd fascination with Lloyd Banks. It's almost like he wishes he would have signed Lloyd Banks. Well, we're going to get into it. I think it might have to do with that song called Officer Down that Lloyd Banks released, where he had said 50 already bodied him. I'm just laying out the chalk. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, you guys. Today, excuse me. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure everything is straight. All right, cool. All my apps are in tune. So Rick Ross had some stuff to say. Let's get into it, you guys. Hit that like button if you're just tapping in. Hit the like button. Make sure you share this video one time. We're going over quite a bit today, you guys, because Rick Ross had to make an insulting an insulting offer to 50 Cent. Ross said, I got a business offer for the diabolical genius. I read yesterday that Young Buck's catalog is worth $725,000 for the entire catalog. Cool. So I can only assume Lloyd Banks is worth the same. So right there, that just showed me that this guy who spends so much time analyzing the G Unit career, idolizing or whatever. I mean, every time an Uber pulls up, Ross seems to say Lloyd Banks is playing. I wonder if he puts that in on request personally. But Rick Ross is going on the record and saying that Young Buck's catalog is worth the same as Lloyd Banks. Rose, do you not remember? I mean, Rose, I'll be honest with you. You have never sold more albums than Young Buck or Lloyd Banks. You have never had a better first week than either of those artists. Young Buck came out the gate with Straight Outta Cashville and sold 260,000 units first week. Lloyd Banks, they say worldwide he did like 537,000 copies first week. In the States, 440,000. You couldn't even sell 400K. You couldn't sell 400K with Drake on your single. Everybody in here, hit the like button one time if you support the channel. So Ross said, I got a business offer for the diabolical genius. That's what Charlemagne the God labeled 50 Cent, the diabolical genius. So, you know, Ross was poking fun at 50 Cent the other day. Basically, Ross had pretty much got the definition of a diabolical genius wrong. Ross is like, a diabolical genius is somebody that gets money. What? Ross, do you not understand the word diabolical? It's pretty funny, but Rick Ross was all over the place with that, you guys. So let's get into it tonight. Let's get into it because Ross had a lot to say. My guy Russell, appreciate you for tapping in. He said, so Rick Ross feels like his popularity is dropping because every time he does, he reignites his beef with 50 Cent for no reason. Yeah, that's a fact, man. You know, a lot of artists used to use beef as a crutch. You know, got a new album, got a new single. If you didn't get shot, hopefully you're in a hip hop beef. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the diss records, you're not going to put out too many diss records that are going to eventually push you to sell more units. I'll give it to Rick Ross. On one of his recent albums, he put out a song called where he actually addressed Birdman, and he used that as a beef track to actually generate more streams. But listen to what Ross had to say here. So Ross said, I can only assume that Lloyd Banks is worth the same as the 725,000 that he said Young Buck was worth. So I say, let's make it. And to keep it simple, throw Tony Yayo in there. I'll give you 1.5. And let's say for the, I don't need the entire G Unit catalog, but Beg for Mercy, I'll give you 500K for that, for the masters of that. Ross said that's $2 million. And Diabolical Genius, let me know if you want the wire or the watch and the pinky ring. It's the same thing. Let's do some business. 500,000? You're offering $500,000 for Beg for Mercy? Yo, get out of here, Rick Ross. That's a legendary album. That album is going down with like the Wu-Tang Clan and Onyx, you moron. 500K? You're a boss, right? No, you're not a boss. You're a broke ass bitch. You're a broke ass with your $500,000 offer. What are you going to do? What are you going to go do? Buy 500 lobsters? That's your best and your final offer? Well, go ahead and get on the hell out of here, Rick Ross. What kind of boss are you? I'm asking the question. To make to make a ludicrous offer like that, what kind of boss are you? You're talking chump change. So do me a favor and stop trying to insult the culture. You want to know what, Ross? Your album is worth 500K. What was your debut album? What was it? Port of Miami? That album and the next three, all you moved was 150K. You did 150K 3 times, homie. 3 times in a row. Then after that, we held you down. We held you down, and God forgives I don't went through the roof. I can understand if you were like Jay-Z or something talking like this, but you don't even move units like that, homie. You don't even move units like that. You've been cold. You've been done for a minute. You're broke. So step your game up. Reevaluate what you got going on and reinvent yourself like Curtis did. That's how I could tell, like, you're not even serious. That's how I could tell you're just joking around. Yep, that's how I could tell you weren't even serious, man. You're just joking around. Everybody in here, hit that like button if you're tapped in. Let me know what city and state you're in. Let me know what city and state you're in. Definitely appreciate everybody tapping in tonight. Okay. Rick Ross violates Lloyd Banks. He violated him, you guys. Hit that like button if you're tapped in. We got a hell of a stream for you tonight. 305, Dade County. What's poppin'? Showtime. Showtime 305. What up? What up? We got upstate New York in here. Louis Peasy, what up, my brother? Appreciate you for tapping in. Let me ask you something. You're talking all this business meeting. You're talking about all these business meetings, Ross. You're trying to get into the record label business again by buying up the G Unit catalog. Let me ask you something. Do you even own a business suit? Do you even own a business suit? Because I don't even think they make them in your size. Did you have one tailored in your size? No, you didn't. And then you're making all these insulting offers. You're making all these bull offers, man. That's like going to the Benz dealership talking about, I got 10K for that S550. How about this? How about you go fuck yourself? How about you go to Honda? Or how about you go to an artist like Nipsey Hussle and offer him a bullshit contract to join MMG again? And you wonder why your label isn't flourishing. You know what? Since you like offering people money, instead of offering people money, why don't you go and pay your debts? How about you go and pay the debts that you owe? Why don't you go and pay the debt that you owe to Zopound? Huh? How about you go pay that debt to Zopound for wanting to be G? Go pay your debt to society, Rose, because people like you need protection. You're a civilian, Rose. You're a civilian, Ricky. Never forget that. Zopound will never let you forget that. And every time they see you, more than likely they're going to come across your face. And their razor game is crazy. Wait till they catch you. They're going to have you looking like a Halloween pumpkin, homie. But you want to talk about Lloyd Banks is worth as much as Young Buck. And we all know the whole Young Buck situation. He just got caught up in a compromising position. His career pretty much over. He's trying to take what he can get. We'll get into that in a little bit. Ross, you wish you had Lloyd Banks's bars. You wish you had Banks's bars. Listen to me, Ross. Listen to me. Lloyd Banks can get a shorty without even talking. Banks can get a shorty without even saying a sentence. You think you can do that, Rose? Ricky? Rick Ross is not Blue Hefner, you guys. I don't know. Shorties like Banks. They like Banks like they like Fab. You know, certain dudes, shorties are just on them like that. But that's not like you, Ross. Ross, you can't walk into a room, not talk, and bag a shorty. You can't do that, man. You're the type of dude, you got to walk into a room, you got to introduce yourself like, ladies, I'm the biggest boss. I'm the biggest boss. That's what you got to do when you enter a room, a boss with a W. You got to be like, I own Wingstops. I own Checkers. You got to broadcast yourself to get laid. Banks doesn't even got to announce that he's there. All he's got to do is press his alarm 2 or 3 times unnecessarily. Beep, 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 beep. Gee, I forgot where my Lamborghini was parked. I can't find it in the parking lot. There's just so many lambs in this parking lot. Guys, Rick Ross doesn't have game. Rick Ross doesn't have game. He's the type of person who's like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I offered $500K for Beg for Mercy. I can't pay for a personal trainer because I have no self-discipline. What the hell is Rick Ross gonna tell a shorty? Bitches are not trying to hear that, man. They're not trying to hear that. Bitches spend their whole life in the gym. You think they're trying to hear what you got to say, Ricky? They're not. So I read yesterday, Ross said this. I read yesterday, or I heard yesterday, whatever he said, that Young Buck's catalog is worth $725,000 for the entire catalog. Cool. Ross, do you even know what Buck's entire catalog is? Do you? If you're so interested in signing or buying Young Buck's catalog, how come back in the day when Young Buck left G Unit, you had little to no interest in doing any work with him? How come you didn't figure it out with Young Buck when he was coming around the Maybach Music Camp after he disassociated himself from 50 Cent and G Unit, after he went on the FG Unit campaign at all of his local ass shows, at all of his hole in the wall venues that he was performing, saying FG Unit, not realizing somebody is going to film that on their phone and put it on the internet. The shit was on This Is 50 like the very next day. The day after that, Young Buck was disassociated with G Unit, kicked off the tour, kicked off the album. That's right, kicked off the Terminate on Sight album. I mean, he still retained 5 records on that. I mean, that's something you would probably want to know, Ross. That's something you would probably want to know, especially if you're entertaining buying the man's catalog. He has an independent album called Tip. I think it was called TIP. That I think he did that with D-Tay possibly. He had Straight Outta Cashville, He was on Beg for Mercy beforehand. Then he was also featured on his the next album, Buck the World. He was on the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack. If you're gonna buy a man's catalog, you should at least know what you're buying. And then in 2008 was his last G Unit appearance. His last G Unit appearance on Terminate on Sight, like 5 tracks. Come on, man. You need to know what you're getting into if you're gonna buy the catalog. So listen to what he says. I read yesterday that Young Buck's catalog is worth $725K. So I can only assume that Lloyd Banks is worth the same. You assume that their catalogs are worth the same? Rose, Banks went gold in 1 week. Lloyd Banks sells what your whole albums do in their entirety in 1 short week. I see why you want to buy his catalog, but homie, it's not for sale. Why would a bigger artist than you sell their catalog to you? You had to sell like 3 albums before you accumulated what Lloyd Banks did in his first week. Your albums sell less than what Mobb Deep's G Unit album did. That was the 110,000 first week for Blood Money. I'm stretching it a little bit, but you look like you're hurting, Ross. You and Meek just moved 31K. You assume their catalog is the same? You know what you do when you assume? You make an ass out of yourself. Huh? I mean, Yayo, you could probably argue that Yayo's is probably worth as much as Buck's. Maybe that I'll buy into a little bit because he doesn't release too much music. Banks, on the other hand, Banks has a lot of material and he sits on a lot of material. He probably has hard drives worth of material that he doesn't even think is fire enough to even put out. Banks throws away raps that are better than your hits, Ross. His throwaway raps and his mixtape songs are better than what you put out. I'm just saying. So I don't know why you're talking. And let me ask you, like I said, who said it was for sale? Who said it was for sale? Who said it was for sale for you to buy? You're dumb because one day the entire G Unit catalog is going to sell for like $100 million. And just because you like something, Ross, just because you have an odd fascination with Lloyd Banks' career, it doesn't mean it's for sale. You know how many people pull up beside me at the red light, pull up beside me and they be like, yo, can I buy your car? I get that more than I get, yo, you're Mikey T. Can I buy your car? And I'm like, why? And they're like, because I never seen the steering wheel on the other side. Americans, you guys, to them, it's unique. It's like, what the fuck? The passenger is driving? I'm just saying it's unique, man. They're thinking to themselves, how is the passenger driving? What kind of car is that? It's unique to Americans. But in London, that's how they drive. They drive on the wrong side of the street. Their steering wheel is on the wrong side of the car. But to them, it's right. But anyways, I don't know why I said that. Because you do not have a steering wheel on the other side. And you did not pay those crazy import fees. And guess what? Y'all rappers be coming to me. Y'all rappers be coming to me, asking me where can I get the V with the steering wheel on the other side. And I just tell them, yo, don't worry about it. You can't get that V. You can't get that V. I'm pushing that V. I'm pushing that all month, matter of fact. Can't get that V because Mikey T, I'm an exclusivist. You're just a rapper. You rap. But me, I look like a rapper. Hit that like button if you're tapped in here. Let me know what city and state you're tapped in from. The song Officer Down alone is worth 700K. Ricky, get the fuck out of here, Ross. Yo, Ross, now I know why you like Banks so much. But you must love that Officer Down song. You must love it. Take it easy, you'll get arrested. Wasn't that the sample on that they take it easy, you'll get arrested? Didn't they loop that shit on there? That song alone, Officer Down, is worth 700K, Ross. Get out of here, man. I'm about to do some of the lyrics from Officer Down as well. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit that like button if you're up in here. You heard, hit that like button if you're tapped in tonight. Let me know, who do you think has a better catalog? Rick Ross or Lloyd Banks? Rick Ross or Lloyd Banks, who's got the better catalog, y'all? Let me make sure Oh, shit. About to twist something up. Let me know what y'all smoking. Y'all know what I smoke out of. So listen to this. Banks said on Officer Down, he said, I'll run up on his shadow, hit him with the proper. He about as real as a $4 bill. Carroll City copper. Chop him down one by one, two by two. This is what I do. If you knew what I knew, then you'll be cool. You'll be through. He making money? Well, we making money too. Whoop-de-doo. We'll be here long after he disappears. This is proof. Long after you disappear. We'll be here long after you disappear. This is proof. Guys, Lloyd Banks cooked Rick Ross. Banks is nice, and you can't mess with Banks at all. Ricky, you need to get like Drake on a feature, and you need to throw a slick bar in it. And hopefully for you, that'll work. Because Ross, you alone without features, I don't know. I don't know, Ross. It just doesn't work for you. Your shit is whack, Ross. Because you only wanted to employ yes men. You had a real opportunity to make Maybach Music the next big thing. You had a chance to take your label to the next level. And nobody thought you, the guy writing upstairs at Circle House, would have made it. I'm just being real with you. Nobody thought you would have made it, especially after that video with Trina. Nobody would have thought you would have made it, man. So you alone without the features, it's not doing it. All the yes men, it didn't help you. You know what I'm saying? Where's the outrage from the Banks fans? Rick Ross said Banks's catalog is worth 700K. How is there no outrage? Hassan Campbell goes on Vlad TV and no one's upset about it but me. Everyone else looks in the other direction, right? Like, he's getting to the bag, Mikey. Mikey, you would go on Vlad TV too. Miss me with all that sucker shit, you guys. I'm asking you, what do you stand for? You've got to stand for something, man. Banks said, I be everywhere the guap be, and you're rat, and you're fat, musty, and sloppy. Banks said, I be everywhere the guap be, and you're fat, musty, and sloppy. Freeway, Ricky Ross, copy. Woo! I heard this sold some units on iTunes as well, man. Come on, I heard they was purchasing this joint for like $1.29 back in the day. Heavy. Banks is saying he looks like he smells. Banks is saying he looks like he smells. He looks musty. Rick Ross, this guy, when you see him in a photo, this guy just looks like he has body odor. You know what I mean? He looks like he needs a couple rolls of deodorant. It looks like he needs a Listerine strip. It looks like he needs a beard trimmer. The man needs a fresh pair of tube socks. White. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Get the man some dental floss. Basically, aisle 2 at CVS. Rick Ross needs the whole aisle 2 at CVS, you guys. I'm just being real. Hit that like button. Let me know what city and state you're tapping in from. Hope y'all are enjoying the podcast tonight, man. This is a good episode tonight. Ross gave us some shit to talk about. You know, I'll be doing a live exclusive about Hassan on Vlad tomorrow. Make sure y'all check out the content. Throwback interviews with Uncasa, PD Crack, new interview with Bemi, new interview with Keen Streets. That's right, Bird Gang's new artists. Banks said, in this market, they let impersonators walk around. 50 bodied you. I just laid the chalk down. Even Lloyd Banks was looking at it like, how are people buying into this guy's image as a CEO? Even Banks was upset that the general public, that the other rappers, the labels were allowing Rick Ross, a former CEO, somebody who literally locked people in and out of their cells, to actually parade around in the music industry. Can you guys believe that? Lloyd Banks is upset about it, and I don't blame him. Banks is upset about it. Give me 1 second, you. All right, we good. We good. Lloyd Banks was upset. It's like, how are you people buying into this guy's image? He was a CEO. This guy was a CEO. This guy was a CEO, man. We're going to get into that. They let impersonators walk around, Lloyd Banks said, meaning you, Rick Ross, the rapper. You're an impersonator. You're impersonating Rick Ross, the drug kingpin. He's talking about you, Ricky. Do you feel special? Do you feel special when people hear Lloyd Banks' catalog? Because they're not going to miss this one. When people listen, like in Uber, like they might hear this when they're listening to Lloyd Banks in Uber. Bro, your own driver listens to Lloyd Banks, and I know that upsets you. I know it does. That upsets you. And you want to know what? It's because you've given the Uber driver nothing to listen to. Let me guess, Ross, you don't even tip the Uber driver because low key, you're actually heated that Banks came on his playlist. And if In the Club comes on, you're just honestly, you're getting a bad review. If you're an Uber driver and Rose's in your Uber, you are getting a bad review if In the Club comes on. Matter of fact, Rose will probably end up canceling the trip. He's getting off at the next exit. He's canceling the trip. He's giving you a 1-star review, and he's getting off at the very next exit, especially if it's at a volume where it's blasting. Hell, anything above level 6, Rick Ross is getting out. And let me just say this. Rick Ross never had In the Club. Rick Ross never had an In the Club. This ain't a debate with like how they say Fat Joe had Lean Back. This ain't like that because Lean Back wasn't in the club either. Oh, man. Oh. My bad, y'all. I was just clowning around. Rick Ross never had an In the Club. Rick Ross's biggest hit was with Drake. Your biggest hit was with Drake because Drake made the song a hit. It was Drake. A lot of Rick Ross's stuff that are hits are heavily featured. Aside from his debut single, Every Day I'm Hustling, which I think Jay-Z and Young Jeezy did a remix for. Come on, what are some of the solo for Dolo hits from Rick Ross? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I don't do that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. He picks great production. Rick Ross has a great delivery. Rick Ross is smooth over music. But I don't see the big hype with Rick Ross, and I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater, and I'm not hating on no fat man. I haven't stooped that low in life to hate on an overweight man with or without money. Either way, you want to know why? Because money can't buy you health. It can't. That's a fact. 50 bodied him, and Banks laid the chalk down. How about that bar? Do you guys want to know where that comes from? Y'all want to know? 50 bodied him, and I laid the chalk down. Guys, do you know who lays the chalk down? In the chat, let me know who lays the chalk down. About to roll up a blunt of this Do-Si-Do gelato. This shit's fire. Probably like one of my favorite strains. The coroner lays the chalk down. The cops don't do that. You know what the cops do, Rose. Banks is saying he showed up late to the party and he's here to chalk the body. He showed up late to the party, but he's here to chalk the body. But he's just here to chalk the body. That's what he's here to do. Some coroners actually say that when they show up. Sorry, I had to clown-ish. Yeah, Rick Ross is talking a lot. Lock him in a room with Fifth and see who leaves. Oh, man, that reminds me of my interview with 40 Glock when I asked him about Jay-Z and 50 Cent actually having a fight. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell I was thinking in that first interview, but 40 Glock answered the question. The coroners say that, guys. The coroners say that. Chalk the body. That's what they do. They chalk the body. They tape the crime scene. They make sure other agencies don't fuck with the evidence. That's Lloyd Banks' job, you guys, here. And he's pretty much cleaned your ass up, Ross, and made sure no other party or camp got involved to tamper with anything. You got slaughtered lyrically, Ross. Physically, 50 would have destroyed you too. Did anyone even try to help you? Did anyone even try to help you, Ross? Did anyone come to your aid besides Diddy? And we're not going to get into that. Check my last stream for that one. Not really. Nobody really tried to help you. I mean, Fat Joe ended up becoming friends with 50. What does that say? Fat Joe ended up becoming friends with 50. But Fat Joe is aware that Rick Ross is not who he says he is. He's probably even met Freeway Ricky. And you want to know something, guys? Rick Ross wishes he could buy Fat Joe's street cred. If Fat Joe said, I'll sell you my street cred, Rick Ross, would you like to buy it? Ross would be like, yo, I'll give you $500K for your street cred. So now we're going to get into Tony Yayo's diss on 50. Not on 50. He never dissed 50. Besides that time when he said, I feel like spoiled milk or some shit. We're going to get into Tony Yayo. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat. I'm putting a poll up. You guys. No, that's not a poll. Maybe I'm not putting a poll up. Start a poll. Who has a better catalog? Rick Ross or Lloyd Banks? Who do you guys think? Vote in the poll right now. Let me know what you guys think. Who has a better catalog, Rick Ross or Lloyd Banks? Do you guys even really know what Rick Ross's catalog is? Do you guys even know what Rick Ross's catalog is, to be honest? I mean, I know Every Day I'm Hustling. What was the lead single off of Trilla? Somebody tell me the lead single off of Trilla. I bet you if this was hip hop trivia, you couldn't even name the single off of Deeper Than Rap. I bet you can't even name the single off of God Forgives I Don't. I bet you can't name the single off of Mastermind. I bet you didn't even know Hood Billionaire was an album. Come on, guys, let's be real. Vote in the poll. Let me see what y'all are voting on. Everyone in the poll saying Lloyd Banks. Vote in the poll right now if you're tapped in here. All right, so let's get into it. Tony Yayo. Somebody snitched on me. I forgot about Tony Yayo's song, Somebody Snitched. You know, they used the children's commercial to diss the shit out of you, Ross. They used a children's commercial. I laughed hysterically back then, and I laughed hysterically today. I laughed my ass off, Ross, and you did it to yourself. Somebody snitched on me. You did it to yourself. Oh no, mommy. Somebody snitched on me. This was the smartest diss Tony Yayo ever made in his career. I mean, and this guy said that he was going to have Ja Rule buried in some high heel pumps. Yayo said he will Larry Davis you, Rose. Do you know who that is? Tony Yayo said, I will Larry Davis you. What's your response? I want to hear Rick Ross's response to this. What's your response to his first 3 bars? That's all I want to know. The response to his first 3 bars on his diss track on you. I don't think you ever responded to that. Did you? Larry Davis, homie. He said he's going to Larry Davis your ass. You don't even know who Larry Davis is, Rick Ross. So let me take a minute to educate you. I'm going to educate you. And if you don't know, he's from the Bronx. Salute to the Bronx. He's beloved. He's a beloved individual amongst the community. Some people say he wasn't a great guy for what he did, but that's up for interpretation. Me personally, I don't think he was a bad guy. He went after dirty cops. You, Rick Ross, you don't even know who that is. And if you did, you would have named yourself Larry Davis. But you didn't even know the story. But after hearing his story, you probably would have said, I want to be Larry Davis. Huh? He's more crazy than Freeway Ricky Ross. You know what, Ross? You could have stole someone else's name entirely. You could have took someone else's name entirely. Tony Yayo said, I'll Larry Davis you. Guys, I'm done. You would have probably got thrown down a whole flight of stairs, Ross, at Burger King. Because every time someone sees you, You're eating, Ross. So you probably would have got thrown down a whole flight of stairs at Burger King, homie. Yayo said, I just spoke to Shah Money. Shah spoke to Makazo. I did an interview with Makazo. Free Makazo. Spoke to him inside the prison. Yayo, and that's what Yayo was doing at that time. I remember Yayo was like, Yayo be hating and shit, not showing appreciation to his fans that actually followed his career and shit. You know what I'm saying? But Yayo was going to put together a whole mixtape actually hosted by the Zopound, actually hosted by Makazo. I think maybe Red Eyes had something to do with it. Salute my brother Red Eyes, all them guys. You know what I'm saying? But that would have been smart. I don't know if Yayo followed through with it, though. He might have, but like I said, Yayo didn't really get that many mainstream releases. He didn't get that many mainstream releases. So Yayo said, I just spoke to Shah Money. Shah spoke to Makazo. Dudes fuck with Rick Ross. Hell no, he po. He the next Ja Rule. And Khaled be hating. Remember last time Pussy at the radio station? You fuck boy peons, your swagger OD on. That Maybach 57, it looks like a neon. Let me rewind. On that one. He said, and Khaled be hating. Remember the last time at the radio station? Now, this is an old song, but Yayo has come back to like retract that shit. Because at the radio station, Yayo put his hand out to Khaled, and Khaled said, I can't shake your hand because you diss Fat Joe. So it's like, why are you lying about that situation? Why are you lying about that situation on this diss track, man? You know, I'm just telling you guys, I'd be keeping shit real. I'd do a whole video about that, Yayo. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Yayo can't show respect to people that are actually his fans because back then rappers would be acting like they're on such a high horse. And that's whack, man. That's whack because we all supported you. It wasn't just Eminem wearing a fucking free Yayo shirt at the Grammys, homie. We all supported you. We all wanted to cop your album. It's not my fault or anybody else's fault that Jimmy Iovine pushed the album back. But right here with this last line where he said, remember the last, he said that Maybach 57 is looking like a neon. He's talking about your label, Ross. He's talking about your label, your whole record label. It's looking like a domestic. It's looking like a domestic, homie. It's looking like a Dodge Neon. Looking like a Dodge Neon 4-door, homie. That's what you're looking like. You're looking like the base model, homie. Because I never seen nobody in my life with a hooked up Dodge Neon. Did you hear what I said? And I don't give a fuck if you had the SRT version. Listen to me. It's a Dodge Neon. I don't give a fuck if you had the SRT version. I don't care. I know I'm going to get flamed. There's probably a lot of dudes in here that drive Hellcats, a lot of Hellcat drivers, a lot of Challenger drivers, whatever. So please don't flame me in the comments, but respectfully, I don't like the Dodges. I don't like them. The interiors are too cheap for me. Great engines. I'm not going to say anything about that, but I can't get over the cheap interior. I'm sorry. Someone had to say it. It's the reason people buy Range Rovers. It's got a great interior. And shit, it's better than a Jeep Cherokee. Duh. Don't ask me that. Why am I always getting asked that? So yeah, question. What happened to MMG? What happened to MMG? Ricky, what happened to MMG? Ricky, you were supposed to be the next big shit. And your Maybach turned into a Dodge. That means you fell off heavy. And another thing, listen to me. Listen to me. You guys are dumb as hell. You're dumb as hell. If I was the CEO of Maybach, you and I would be having a discussion. And I say that to say this. All you stupid rappers who are using major name brands in your own name, If these brands don't fuck with you, they will sue you. Gucci Mane got away with it, and they actually ended up working with each other, but he faced a lot. Gucci was like, "You can't be Gucci Mane. We are Gucci." So people who think they're doing stuff like that and they think it'll work, guess what? You're not affiliated with us, and if we feel like it's making our brand look bad, they're gonna come after your ass. Look what happened to Rolls-Royce Rizzy. Do you ever wonder why Maserati Fox, my guy Mozzie, should have interviewed him back in the day? May he rest in peace. Do you guys ever wonder why Maserati Fox spelled his name so stupid? Yeah, my guy told me. He told me, man. He actually talked to Mozzie about that. 1 second, let me light up. My guy actually talked to Mozzie about that. My guy told Mozzie, he's like, "Yo, you're smart as hell, Mozzie. You're smart as fuck for spelling your name with the Z's." Fox just laughed and said, "I know, I know." He was smart, and he didn't need anyone around to tell him, like, "Yo, Maserati might be upset with your name. We understand you like the car." So he changed a few letters. But you, Ross, you're just dumb as hell. Maybach is not G Unit. And stop deriding these brands. Jay-Z didn't get a Cristal deal. The issues I got with that is y'all are dick sucking for these brand deals. And they're not even, literally not even aware of your existence. So Ross said, "I don't need the entire G Unit catalog." I agree with him there. Who the hell would want Terminate on Sight? But you're crazy, man. The Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack, unofficial G Unit album. I think if you buy certain things of the G Unit, free Crip Mac. Hopefully he doesn't get that 15 years. Hopefully Crip Mac comes home. So Ross said, "I don't need the entire G Unit catalog, but Beg for Mercy, I'll give you 500K for that, for the masters of that." Hey Ross, why don't you get together with the Triple C's and make your own Beg for Mercy? That's like Andy Warhol buying Picasso's paintings. You're an artist yourself. You're a great artist yourself. Why do you want to buy another artist's material? I find that strange in like a weird way. You know what I mean? Like, why do you low key like the artist that much? It's like Martin Shkreli buying the Wu-Tang album for millions of dollars. I almost respected it. Rick Ross literally fell the fuck off, you guys. But after Hood Billionaire, the album I mentioned earlier, you probably don't know about, everything, nothing, or what does Drake say? Nothing was the same. Bangum Smurf left you, and nothing was the same. Bangum Smurf bounced, and the streets left you. The streets left you. Mikey T and Bangum Smurf left you. Do you understand? Do you understand, Ross? That means the streets left you. The soul of Maybach Music Group left you. We were the heart and the bones of that, just to be real. Gunplay, say what you want to say. Anybody else from Maybach Music, say what you want to say. We were the heart and bones of MMG. We kept it up on a crutch when it should have died. For the whole year, when Ross and them goons from MMG wouldn't respond to G Unit, Smurf and I were putting up numbers every week on World Star. And none of y'all bitches would respond. Yeah, Smurf was looking at some of the dudes from Queens crazy too. Like, right on. Nobody would, though. It is what it is. Smurf and I held that shit down. Shit, we were repping you in Queens. We were repping you in Connecticut. Who put you on the map out here on the East Coast? Nobody knew about MMG out here. I went to foreign land, you guys, called Trinidad. It's a very dangerous community. I didn't really belong there as a tourist or whatever. People seen me and said, Mikey T, you don't belong in Trinidad. But Smurf told me, you're good with me. That's Smurf. He says I'm good. I'm good. I got my passport, and that's how we was giving it up. Ross can't go 3 blocks without asking the Zo Pound. And for everyone saying Smurf got the Coke Boys tat to get down with French. Listen to me. Smurf took it upon himself. He took it upon himself. He's a Coke boy. What up? And tell Smurf he's not a Coke boy. I dare you. Ask Smurf, why do you got a Coke boy tattoo, Smurf? Because he took it upon himself to do that. But them days is over now. I'm not going to lie. That was like 09, 2011, 2013. Them days is over now. You got to get armed security now. Shit ain't like it was back in the day. I'm going to be real. Rick Ross, you can't go to a red carpet even without security. And if you was official, fat boy, you want to know who would have signed you? If you were official, fat boy, you want to know who would have signed you off rip? Suge Knight. Suge Knight would have signed you off rip. Ricky Rose said that's $2 million. And he offered him $2 million for Lloyd Banks' catalog, Young Buck's catalog, Tony Yayo's catalog, and the Beg for Mercy G-Unit album. You are out of your mind. That's a catalog that one day is going to sell for $100 million. Do you think you're about to hit a lick like 50 in Vitamin Water? You think 50 is going to let you hit that lick off him? This ain't the Revolt situation. Revolt is probably at the point where it's going to be sold for pennies on the dollar. That's not the case with G-Unit. It's not the case. G-Unit is a renowned group, almost to the level of the NWA in memory. Death Row, Bad Boy Records. I'm sorry, but Maybach Music didn't make that lineup. And that's all respect to Wale and Meek Mill, because those are some good dudes. Even though I was giving Meek Mill a hard time when he kept saying he was the best rapper in the East Coast. I was like, what are you talking about, Meek? You're the best rapper on the East Coast. French Montana is the one getting all the shine right now. How are you the hottest rapper on the East Coast? And I told that to Meek Mill to his face, because I was going to every single nightclub in Miami and French Montana's name was all over the place. It wasn't Meek Mill's name. It wasn't until after I'm a Boss was successful that the world started to believe in Meek Mill. His second album went through the roof, although his first album tripled French Montana's sales. It's a very different thing. I later apologized to Meek Mill for saying French was a better rapper than him. My bad, Meek. Whatever. I was just pushing your buttons that day. You was talking hella shit. I'm from the East Coast. I'm the hottest on the East Coast. Nobody else would say shit to Meek Mill either. So Rick Ross says that's $2 million, and the diabolical genius let me know. He said, let me know if you want the wire or you want the watch and the pinky ring. It's the same thing. Let's do some business. Well, you know what, Ross? I'd like a bank check, if you don't mind. How about we do a bank check, Ross? So I'd like neither of your options. Since you're such a boss, you should have known 50 would want a bank check, you dickhead. What the fuck would I want a wire for? I'm good. You're comfortable wiring that? Give me a bank check. I'm straight, homie. Why you sending it through a wire? What is it, an overseas account? What's in an overseas account or something? Why do you want to wire it? And this way, by giving me the bank check, you got to meet up with me personally. You got to meet up with me personally. But again, this offer of $2 million is just ridiculous. It's petty. It's insulting. And who said that they were for sale in the first place? And not only that, I'm pretty sure enough time has passed where all the guys from G Unit could probably even re-record the material. At this point, with that loophole, they could re-record the material like Taylor Swift. So Ross, even after spending that $2 million, you'd probably only get to live off of it for a couple of years. So how about you look into that? How about you look into that, Ross? So Young Buck's announcement was made the other day about $700,000, $730,000 for his catalog. Buck's catalog, straight out of Cashville, Buck the World. There was a couple other albums he was featured on. He was featured on Stay Fly with 3-6 Mafia. I'm not sure if that would be a part of it. I'm not sure if his contributions to Beg for Mercy would be a part of it. He was obviously a third on that album. Then he had a major contribution to Terminate on Sight. And then he had a minor contribution to several G Unit albums. I mean, he was on Banks' album, Work Magic. Was Work Magic on the Hunger for More, you guys? Or was it something else? He was on Yayo's album. He was not on the Games album. He was featured on Curtis. You know what I mean? That album probably went 3 or 4 times platinum. Maybe I'm giving it a little too much credit. That album sucked. Sorry, Fifth. I said to myself back in the day, I won't buy Curtis unless it was for like $5, to be real. That album was trash. But I'm going to be real. Young Buck is lucky he got $730,000 for his catalog. Right now, it's not popular to be a Young Buck fan. After Young Buck's first 2 albums, he went down the drain. Young Buck's second album could not find a single. Young Buck's second album, Buck the World, could not find a single, even though they had several different R&B or vocalists on there. He had Linkin Park on there. He had Life Jennings on there. You know what I'm saying? He had that bitch-ass dude, Life Jennings, on there who sung for Jeffrey Dahmer, as weird as that is. Like, come on, man. You're going to be singing for another dude in prison? That's some weirdo shit. I'm just being real. Who's singing for another man in jail? Like, that's some sus-ass shit. And I might have to go off on Life Jennings. Me and him had a back and forth one time. Officer Ricky is desperate. He sold 30,000 with Meek Mill. How pathetic is that? How pathetic is that? You took the biggest artist on your label, Meek Mill, the artist that has actually moved 250,000, 1/4 copies in a single week. You took that artist and you put him and you diminished his credibility. You ended Maybach Music for a cash grab. You ended Maybach Music for a cash grab, homie. And I highly doubt you needed that budget. But let me say, Young Buck is lucky. He's lucky he got the $730,000 for his catalog, man, because right now is not a good time. Right now is not a good time for Young Buck, you guys. Like I said about Revolt, you know what I mean? Revolt is not the popular place to be right now. First of all, I mean, you know, like Young Buck's albums, even though they were at a height at one point, I mean, he's got singles. The album, the first one went platinum, almost 2 times platinum. The second one probably barely reached gold. Somebody let me know if you got the official sales on Buck the World. But after moving 140, 150,000 units first week, I got a feeling it struggled to go gold. But again, 140, 150,000 first week. That's the same sales as you, Ricky. That's the same sales as you, Ricky. And let me just be real. Young Buck, he's not Young Dolph. Young Buck was a typical run-of-the-mill rapper. You know, there was nothing really unique about Young Buck. He had the chance to make himself unique. He had the whole world looking at him. But like I said, with the results he put up, he's lucky he's actually getting that much money. You know what I mean? How many bangers does Young Buck got? Let's be real, guys. How many bangers does Buck even have? After he left 50 Cent, he was cold. The only time Young Buck was hot was when he dropped Shorty Wanna Ride and when he was featured on 3-6 Mafia's Stay Fly. You could probably throw it in there. You could probably throw it in there that he was hot for Stunt 101. I Want to Get to Know Ya, Popping Them Things. But outside of that, Buck has been cold, man. His third album that he kept on trying to turn into G Unit just kept getting denied. I mean, if you could believe it, he wanted to name his third album The Rehab. He wanted to name an album called The Rehab. Did you ever think maybe Young Buck needs the money and that's why he's doing it? Even though in the future the catalog could be worth probably 3, 4, 5 times as much. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what the catalog consists of, as I've listed, it could be numerous tracks. You know what I'm saying? You ever thought maybe Young Buck needs the money to pay the IRS, to pay his child support, to pay whatever miscellaneous bills? He's probably still playing catch up. Did that ever occur to you guys? Seems to me like he's in a desperate need for cash. Otherwise, he would have kept his catalog. You know, he wouldn't be in a rush. It's not like he's retiring, unless maybe he is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Even if he said, I'm retiring tomorrow, though, it wouldn't make his catalog worth more overnight. Young Buck jeopardized his own catalog when he abandoned G Unit, you guys. He threw his catalog away. 50 Cent actually gave him an opportunity to be a part of one of the greatest collectives in hip hop, and he blew it after floundering, you know, running alongside 3-6 Mafia at a certain point, you know, the Memphis connection, shit like that. After running alongside Birdman, getting called back to Cash Money after getting sent home, after running with Juvie, all these labels where it really amounted to nothing. He got an opportunity with 50 Cent to make his catalog worth something, you know? So Buck really did it to himself, you guys. You know, he even had a second chance coming back to G Unit, and it just happened again, man. It just happened again. Or maybe that was just kind of like the G Unit reunion kind of failed. So 50 Cent was just cooler about distancing himself from Young Buck. But either way, man, the G Unit that we once knew is no more. You know what I mean? The G Unit we once knew is kind of in shambles at this point. 50 never got to accomplish the goals that he set out to accomplish, you know, from signing some of the older artists from the previous generation, you know, prior to him. You know what I'm saying? Mobb Deep, Memo P, they had some success before 50 Cent. He tried to reach back and sign them, reach back and sign Mace, you know, and we never got to see that materialize for 50 Cent. We never got to see the second round of G Unit releases materialize for 50 Cent either. You know, after Buck, Banks, and Yayo, Game all dropped their first albums, they never really got to do, like the Doctor's Advocate didn't drop on G Unit. Lloyd Banks' second album, Rotten Apple, was a failure compared to his first. Young Buck's second album, first one dropped in 2004. The second one dropped in 2007. That right there is insane to me. After you've moved 2 million units, you're waiting nearly 3 years to release again. It was literally 2 years and 9 months. Tony Yayo never got a second album, even though it was rumored to be called 50 Cent's Tax Write-Off. Horrible name. Absolutely horrible name. Don't know what Yayo was thinking there. Like, come on, man. You came out, you moved 216,000 units, 215,000 units, whatever. That's a great amount of units. People aren't moving that anymore. Gunplay moved 1,000 units. You moved 214,000 units more than Gunplay. Yeah, Mike Knox is a part of G Unit. I was speaking with Mike Knox when he had come home, like he was in a halfway house, and me and him were on the phone like heavy, because you know I do a lot of interviews in Philly. You know what I'm saying? And also, I was all over This Is 50 back in the day. So me and Mike Knox were on the phone heavy back in the day, but now he doesn't want to work with me because like I was working with Bang'em Smurf, or because I don't think Lloyd Banks' G Unit or his new projects, the Cody series, is as good as the old Lloyd Banks. You know what I mean? It's just whack when somebody just cuts you off like that based on your opinion or based on previous people that you've worked with. Like Kid brought me up to the G Unit offices like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? I went up there, I was respectful. I've met 50 Cent to his face. What do? I do interviews. Of course, I asked 50 Cent for an interview. You think I'm going to shy away from asking somebody to do something that I do every single day of my life? 50 really did consider giving me an interview. That story we're not going to talk about today. I learned that shit working with Compton Menace once we was in the studio with Waka Flocka. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What up, Chris? Appreciate you tapping in, G's. Yeah, freaking Young Buck. He's saying Young Buck sold 6 million albums. We'll do some open questions now if you guys want to do some. You know what I'm saying? I should probably light up for this. Mikey, Buck sold over 6 million albums worldwide. You might say that's not a lot. You know, some people might say, hey, man, that's not 20 or 30 million units. 6 million units, you know, and that's obviously not even counting the Beg for Mercy. And Chris, that's not even counting the Beg for Mercy album, because I'm pretty sure that went 5 to 7 times platinum. So he was a part of that as well. And then, you know, Terminate on Sight, a few 100,000, man. That album really got shit on, man. Anybody got any open questions, you could send them in, man. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream today, man. I just had some things to get off my chest because I found that really insulting, like extremely insulting. You know what I'm saying? So what are you saying that Meek Mill's catalog is worth if you're offering 500K for Lloyd Banks? Like, and I'm not even going to sit here and disrespect Meek Mill because he's an amazing artist, but you must just be trolling because you're just being disrespectful to the whole culture by saying that about Lloyd Banks. Who was that G Unit interview you did with Trigger Ock? Yeah, Trigger Ock is one of my homies. You know, Trigger Ock is a cool dude. He's actually affiliated with G Unit. He be running with them. You know, Trigger is one of the most you know, he's one of the most known people out there in New York, I could say. So when he met 50, you could obviously tell that 50 shows him respect. 50 actually mentioned him in a song. He said, it actually it was dope when 50 Cent shouted out Trigger Ock. Shouted him out. He said Trigger Ock told me whatever song it was in. He shouted out Trigger Ock. It was pretty sweet. You know what I'm saying? So that was some validation right there. But I also interviewed Kid, bro. And as far as I go with the G Unit interviews, Trigger, I don't think he did have an album out. Trigger does have an album out. Go look it up on iTunes. I'm pretty sure he does have an album out. Trigger Ock, iTunes. Let me see if something comes up. I know he had a whole bunch of songs with Fab Don. I think they should have put out a joint project, but they kind of slept on that. But they were working like crazy, you know, because they had a whole bunch of, they had one song called Op Bitches that was cool, but then they also just had a bunch of gangster cuts too. Because you know what happened at first? It was like it was like 5 of them. Officer Ricky. It was 5 of them. It was 5 of them, like, and 50 was about to pick like all 5 of them up. That's what I had interviewed Trigger about. And 50 had them all come up to This Is 50. And then they took a meeting. I think it was like Trigger, it was like Snina, it was Fab Don, and a couple other dudes, maybe Lynx. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering all the other dudes' name and shit like that. But you know, they was just trying to do their thing, man. They put out a freestyle. 50 felt it was authentic. 50 posted it. Shit went viral. People were like, oh, is this the new G Unit clique from Queens? Would have been cool, but a lot of them dudes started getting locked up. I think Fab Don had to go sit down for like 16 months, and Fab Don's sitting down right now too. So free Fab Don. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. What about Maserati Fox, G Baby, Domination, and Smurf? What about them, Mike? I mean, you know, I got the opportunity to meet G Baby one time. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to be going to do an interview with French Montana because I was working with Lazy K, right? And French had the Lazy K mixtape. What was it? What was the? Oh, no, it was Max B with the $1 Million Baby series with Lazy K. But they was working with French from what they told me. But they sent me to an interview with Frenchie, and I just had assumed it was French Montana for some reason. You know what I mean? And so we get there, and like Frenchie's a cool dude. Frenchie has always showed me love, even more recently before he got locked up. Free my bro Frenchie. But I got the opportunity to meet G Baby. Everybody in here, hit the like button, drop your city and state. Let me know what city and state you're tapped in from. Appreciate everybody tapping in tonight. Um, yeah, I got the opportunity to meet G Baby. He just went crazy on the camera. He had told me at that point he wasn't bringing guns around on camera no more. He told me he was changing up. It was really dope to get to meet G Baby before his passing, man. Just to get to see him, get a vibe of his energy, get to have a conversation with him. You know what I'm saying? I really do respect that. You know what I mean? But we had a cat in our that we was running with named Bills that called himself G Baby as well. Yep. R.I.P. to G Baby from Brooklyn and R.I.P. to Bills. Now Maserati Fox. Me and Maserati Fox, we have a very sketchy past. You know what I mean? We have a sketchy past because when I first got into the game, you know what I mean? Maserati Fox was doing all these blogs. You know what I'm saying? 50 had just started running around with Maserati Fox. I guess Mozzie had just come home and 50 was putting him on. And this was literally right after the G Unit guys took off, like Banks and Buck like turned into superstars. You know what I mean? He literally took young Buck from being Maserati Fox like and turned him into a superstar. So it was like, holy is 50 really going to start investing time into Maserati Fox? And obviously, a lot of people were interested in what Maserati Fox was doing. But Maserati Fox, I think he just started moving a little bit too quickly. I've heard other stories of artists moving without the approval of the labels. G Unit was making it, and I'm not talking about how Bang'em Smurf was moving without the approval of 50. I'm just talking about the fact that Mozzie was running around and starting to tell everybody they were G Unit. It kind of made G Unit a little bit less exclusive. You know what I'm saying? Kind of made G Unit a little bit less exclusive. But Maserati Fox was different, man. He had everybody in the hood. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Bang'em Smurf was doing in a way. He had everybody in the hood feeling like they were a part of it. But I think he was doing it a little bit different than Smurf, man. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. And I don't have those facts for you today, so I'm not really going to go into it. But Maserati Fox was pushing the G Unit brand in the hood like crazy. I'm not going to get into it today, man. And what about the G Unit bikes? Who didn't want to get it? Who didn't want to get? I'm not sure. I'm not going with the K Swiss joints, but who didn't want to get the G Unit bikes? Lionel says, I want Lloyd Banks to go at Ross again. Remind everyone again, because I swear people forget. We know he's clout chasing. Yeah, it's really annoying when Rick Ross just takes random shots at Lloyd Banks, especially after Lloyd Banks destroyed him with Officer Ricky or Officer Down, excuse me. He just absolutely destroyed this man with Officer Down, and Ross obviously can't forget it to this day. It's a scathing diss track. He said, I be everywhere the guap be, and you fat, musty, and sloppy. Freeway Ricky Ross, copy. Ross, that bar hurts. I ain't gonna lie. That bar hurt more than me down in Max's Philly cheesesteak. But y'all know how adrenaline does. I was right up on my feet calling motherfuckers hoes. Come do it again. Rick Ross never wants Lloyd Banks to do this again, Lionel. So I don't think Ross wants another dose. I don't think he wants another helping of that Lloyd Banks ammunition. Lloyd Banks shot his whole shit up. Lloyd Banks, let's go into some of the bars. I got some of the bars written out here. He said, in this market, they let impersonators walk around. 50 bodied you. I just laid the chalk down in this market, in this hip hop market, in the movies. You can be who you want to be. It's kind of like, it's not like the military. You got to work at being who you're going to be. But in the movies or in the music, you can be an impersonator. Lloyd Banks is saying in this market, they let impersonators walk around. 50 bodied you. I just laid the chalk down. Now I got a few more bars here. Banks said, I'll run up on his shadow, hit him proper. He about as real as a $4 bill. Carroll City copper. Chop them down one by one, two by two. This is what I do. If you knew what I knew, you'll be cool. You'll be through. He making money? Well, we making money too. Whoop-de-doo. Banks at this point was at the height of his career. You know what I mean? I had heard back then Banks dropped this song and sold like 70,000 copies of it. Banks made $80,000 off of putting together an 80-bar diss. Or what's 16 times 3? It's not 80. He said, he making money. Well, we making money too. Whoop-de-doo. We'll be here long after he disappear. This is proof. Long after you disappear, Ross. Long after you are unable to reinvent yourself, like Curtis. Curtis was able to reinvent himself after his music career fell off. After Curtis, and then Curtis didn't fall off. Curtis sold as much as your first 5 albums put together. Curtis sold as much as Rick Ross's first half of his career. And throw in the triple C's. And throw in Stolly. And throw in the Hood Billionaire. Curtis's first week sales accumulated to every single one of your albums' first week sales. I'm just being real. The Massacre sold more than all of your first week albums put together. Do we really have to have a discussion? Nobody wants to get off their couch and go buy a Rick Ross album. Nobody even wants to pick up their phone and stream a Rick Ross album. You had to trick people into listening to your music, Rick Ross. How does he trick people, Mikey T? Oh, he tricked us all, Bang'em Smurf and all of us, and made us think we were MMG. I was there with Bang'em Smurf in Trinidad. I said to Smurf, Ross got us this hotel room. We're here kicking it with Kano, Mass Pike Miles, Dre Films. Let's go talk to Ross about our deal with Dice. Smurf didn't want to go. I wanted to go talk that business with Ross. Smurf was too concerned with telling him hi and bye. That's what happens when you mix business and friendship. I wanted to see what the business was going to lead to. And look what happened. Our little guy Dice got lapped by Meek Mill and Wale for no reason. We were the ones there repping when MMG was just Rick Ross, a group, and an R&B singer. Say what you want about Ross messaging Smurf. Oh, yo, Dice is using Meek Mill's title. You let Meek Mill cut Dice in line. You're a fraud. You put Dice on the Triple C's second single. Where did it go? I say that to say this, though. Smurf was so concerned with Dice doing paperwork with Ross, but why wasn't Smurf concerned with us getting the paperwork done with Ross? That's a flaw. That is a flaw on Bang'em Smurf's part. Sometimes when I deal with these big artists, I got to know when to fall back. I was working with Scott Storch for many years. I saw it wasn't going anywhere. I fell back. I dipped. I'm my own battery. I'm my own engine. I'm Mikey T, the movie star. This is 50 million Mikey T. I'm the only blogger to go gold. French Montana used my interview with Max B on his album. My voice is on a song with French Montana, Kanye West, and Max B. My guy Elgin says Banks will kill Ross lyrically. Hey, I asked the question. Why didn't you even respond to Tony Yayo? We don't even need to bring up Lloyd Banks. This dude didn't even respond to Tony Yayo. He said he'll Larry Davis you. Do you even know who that is, Ross? Do you know who you're beefing with? Do you just want to buy this catalog so you can delete this material so it is not out there that Tony Yayo is saying he'll Larry Davis your ass? Is that what you want, Rose? Because I can understand that. Do you want to buy the catalog so you can delete Officer Down? Because that I could understand. But the way you be trying to ride G Unit's momentum, the way you be trying to ride the G Unit wave, Ross, nobody can respect it. Every time you got a problem, you go back to the 50 beef. You are using 50's method of marketing against him. I could say I respect it, but we obviously see it doesn't work. Why are you repeating a method that has been proven to fail time and time again? 50 dissing artists, it started to backfire on him, starting with Kanye West. Hell, you could say it started with Jadakiss. Or you could say Jadakiss cost 50 Cent that battle with Kanye West, or you could just say it was the lack of good singles. Whatever you want. Let me see what my guy Lionel says. Banks dropped 3 albums and a mixtape. So you're talking about the Cody series and you're talking about Halloween Havoc 4. In 3 years, Banks is hungry again and he's ready to play with Ross. He better be ready to play. Banks better be ready to play because Rick Ross just took direct shots at him. Rick Ross just said his catalog ain't worth shit. I can sit here and I can tell you the singles from Lloyd Banks' catalog before I can tell you the singles from Rick Ross's catalog. The only thing I remember about Rick Ross's second album is that he recreated the Biggie scene from Hypnotize where he was driving backwards in a car. You are cheesy. You are Gorilla Black cheesy, homie. You couldn't think of nothing better for your second album? Jay-Z just presented you so you didn't have to be looked at as a Big impersonator? One of the best friends of Big, Jay-Z, gave you the go-ahead, and on your second album, first of all, you jacked Michael Jackson's title. You jacked Mike's title. Trilla, shut up. And then you jacked Biggie's music video style. Man, you are a whole fraud for that. You are a whole fraud for that. The fact that you, on your very second album, jacked Big shit, that is all kinds of flaw. And it just shows by the next album, Magnificent. Magnificent on Deeper Than Rap. You went a whole different way. What's popping? Yo, I appreciate that, Muso. Yeah, I just did an interview with Petey Crack. Actually, that's a throwback interview. Much love to Petey Crack for appearing in that video with me. So Rick Ross said some shit. Let's talk about it, you guys. Let's talk about what Rick Ross said. I'm going to read what Rick Ross said. Rick Ross said, I got a business offer to the Diabolical Genius. And the Diabolical Genius is what Charlemagne actually labeled 50 Cent. And Rick Ross has been going off on that for days now. You know what I mean? Because he actually has a beef with the Breakfast Club. Everybody in here, hit that like button, vote in the poll, and drop your city and state. Ross said, I got a business offer for the diabolical genius. I read yesterday that Young Buck's catalog is worth $725K for the entire catalog. Cool. So you love reading about G Unit, huh, Ross? You love reading about G Unit. You love reading about G Unit so much that now you want to start making assumptions. So you read that Young Buck's catalog is worth $700,000, and now you want to say I can only assume Lloyd Banks's catalog is worth the same? Ross said, let's make it. And he wants to make a deal with 50. Ross said, to keep it simple, throw in Tony Yayo. Throw in Tony Yayo, and I'll give you 1.5 million. He didn't say million, but he said 1.5. This is very reminiscent to back in the day when Rick Ross started beef with 50, and he said, any G Unit artist, I will sign you to Maybach Music for $100,000. He was lying then. He's lying now because he didn't sign Dice for $100,000. Dice never got $100,000. Smurf never got $100,000. They got to be on the Throw It in the Sky remix. Bang'em Smurf got to be on the Deeper Than Rap album outro. Was Lil Wayne even on that song where you put Smurf on the outro? You put my OG on a song with Smurf and you didn't pay him? Smurf is a real one, or else he'd come after your ass. He's a real one, or else he'd sue your ass for the royalties. How do you not pay that man after having him on your album? You came in the game with Jay-Z. You came in the game with Hove, and you're doing this type of distasteful business? Ricky Rose, you are a distasteful businessman. You stole your rap name. You don't pay your features. What happened to Young Breed? What happened to Torch? What happened to Magazine? What happened to Rocky Fresh? What happened to Stolly? Why did you make Stolly drop an album that wasn't ready? That's not called a boss. This guy said, listen, I don't need the entire G Unit catalog, but beg for mercy, I'll give you $500K for that, Ross said. He'll give him $500K for the masters of Beg for Mercy. Homie, Stunt 101 is bigger than any song you've ever released. With Hove, with Nas, with Lil Wayne, with anybody. Stunt 101 is bigger than anything you ever dropped. Popping Them Things is bigger than anything you ever dropped. Wanna Get to Know Ya is bigger than anything you ever dropped. Maybe you got Smile from Lloyd Banks, but that's about it. Maybe you got Smile. But you offer $500,000? $500,000 for Beg for Mercy. Ross, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. That's a legendary album. An album that will be remembered amongst the other groups like Wu-Tang, Onyx. $500K. You're a boss. You're more like a broke boss. You're more like a broke boss because what kind of shit are you talking? Go wipe your ass with that $500K, Ricky Rose. What are you going to do? What are you going to go do, buy 500 lobsters, homie? Only if you're eating right. That's your best offer? Is that your final offer? All right, then get out of here. Bringing that bullshit to the table. What kind of boss are you? You're talking chump change, Rose. Stop trying to insult the culture. Any of your albums probably worth less than $500K. What was your debut album? I bet you nobody in the chat can even name Rick Ross's debut album. And if you can name his debut, name his last album. I just had to go off about this, man. Anybody on here wants a follow on Instagram? What happened with Wale? Wale's a good dude. Sorry for messing up the album title or the song title. Yeah, that's what up, Muso. All right, guys, I got to get off of this. I hope y'all enjoyed this live stream tonight. Appreciate everybody that tapped in, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel right now if you're not subscribed already, man. I had a lot to get off my chest tonight because, you know, we all lived through this. We all witnessed this, and Ross is pretty much disrespecting the culture being like that. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my live videos. You know I'm the most interactive blogger out there, and anybody that wants to follow back on Instagram, it's Mikey T _ the movie star. I'll see y'all in the next live. Go check out my throwback interviews too with Uncasa, Petey Crack. I'm out of here.